Rifkin stated in his book, The Third Industrial Revolution, that we are currently living in what is called the digital revolution right now. And in this time, we are currently developing and searching for new resources, new technology, new energy, and advancing. And this is going to affect the economy. And Charles Hull also stated that 3D printer will be a major factor to this economic change. So in this speech, I will be teaching you about how a 3D printer works and how it will affect your lives. And the topics will be the history of 3D printing, how a 3D printer works and its uses, its current uses, and the future of 3D printing. So let's get into discussing my first topic, which is the history of 3D printer. So who invented the 3D printer? So this man is called Charles W. Hull, and he invented the 3D printer in 1980. He used the stereolithic technique, and when he started, he used to work at large companies, which always refused his ideas. So he moved to a smaller ultraviolet technology company, where he convinced his boss to let him work in nights and weekends, and during the day he would do his regular job. And in 1980, he successfully printed out a cup, which then led him to find investors. Eventually, he did find an investor, a Canadian capitalist who was willing to start operation and prototyping. And from there, over the next 10 years, the company grew bigger, and they invented bigger, cheaper, and better 3D printers, along with better printing materials that go with them. So now that we've discussed about the history of 3D printing, let's talk about how it's used and what's its current uses. Okay, so how a 3D printer works is that it uses materials like plastic, metal, or whatever you want, and it cuts them and then disposes them through a heated nozzle, and from there it melts and it's being laid down layer by layer to create a physical form. And the way it's created a physical form is by using computer-aided design programs or 3D scanning programs. And like in the medical field, they use the same process. The only difference is that they use a bioink, which is basically your cells and your tissues. And ever since we've introduced the 3D printer to the medical field, we have used it in neuro, and in spinal, in cardiac, and implant surgery, and many other surgeries, and have resulted in improved surgical outcome, reduced surgical time, and less radiation exposure. Another thing the 3D printer is currently being used for is building. They're building houses, they're building multi-story buildings, and they're building bridges. And they're also producing them faster, stronger, and lighter. And they're also using more eco-friendly materials, so it's also better for the environment. So now that we've discussed how a 3D printer works and its current uses, let's discuss about the future of the 3D printer. So right now NASA is experimenting with the 3D printer, and in fact they installed one in 2016 in the International Space Station. And the 3D printer they installed, it can print stuff in 0 degrees gravity, so eventually they will launch it up in space and start printing in space. And the program they're using for that printer, it allows you to capture things in real life and then digitalize them into the computer, and eventually you'll print them later on. And that software allows even people who aren't engineers with CAD experience to print whatever they want. And it's much cheaper and better than what they used to do, which was send the materials up into the space shuttle, and that costed thousands of dollars. And another industry the 3D printer is influenced right now is the food industry. So a mechanical engineer invented a 3D printer that can print pizza, cinnamon rolls, muffins, some other food in just a minute. And he also invented for NASA a 3D printer which turned dried food particles into food that are, well, it gives them flavor and texture, basically. And the way he does it is his printer air compresses 3 ingredients through a nozzle, and then it just creates the food. And and like after it's created, you have to like heat it up somewhere. And so another thing we can expect from the 3D printer in the future is that it's just going to be a common device that you can see every day, like a computer. It's going to be found in houses, it's going to be found in workplaces, it's going to be found in your office, or like just any public place in general, because it's going to be widely used. So now that we just discussed the future of the 3D printer, I will conclude my speech. And since hearing my speech, you should be able to know more about how you can use a 3D printer and what you can use it for. And no matter how big or small of an impact it may make on your lives, the 3D printer will eventually have an effect on it because it's going to affect the economy later on, and we're all tied to the economy.